Hello and welcome to Tech Clarified, where we talk all things technology. If this is your first time here, I'm really glad you are here. My name is Theo and I'm passionate about IT and technology. Our video today is a continuation of a couple of other videos that I've already done, which cover the basics of virtualization as well as the prerequisites that you'd need in order to configure Hyper-V on a Windows 10 computer. If you haven't already watched the last video in which I covered the prerequisites for configuring Hyper-V on Windows 10, why don't you go on ahead and check out the link above and then come back and watch this one. Today we're really going to get into the practicalities of how to do that, and I'll be showing you how to enable Hyper-V on Windows 10. I sure hope you enjoy that. If you are ready, strap yourself in and let's go for it. We start by going into BIOS and checking that my computer supports virtualization and that it is enabled. On my computer, I get into BIOS by pressing the F10 key as soon as the instruction to do so appears during the power on self-test phase of the startup. The way you get into your BIOS configuration will depend on your motherboard. It will usually be the delete or the F2 key. If you are not sure, just check your motherboard documentation. Be aware that Windows 10 supports an alternative method of achieving the same thing through the System Recovery and UEFI settings option. Please check out my other video in which I go through the steps of how to get that done. In this example, I'm using an HP computer that is an Intel processor and the motherboard is running American Megatrends BIOS software. Once the BIOS menu comes up, I use the right arrow key to move to the power option. I then use the down arrow key to go to the virtualization technology option and press enter again. I use the down arrow key to select enabled and press enter. I then have to press the F10 key followed by enter while the OK option is highlighted to save the changes. If the virtualization status was already set to enabled, I would not need to do anything other than press escape and select yes when prompted to quit without saving. Either way, as soon as I quit, the computer reboots and continues to load Windows 10. As an aside, I have another computer that is an ASRock motherboard with an AMD processor. On that computer, the virtualization settings are under the advanced menu option in BIOS. All this is to say there are slight variations on how you get into BIOS, how you configure the virtualization settings, and how you save any changes. You just have to figure out what applies to your situation. I'm now back in Windows 10 and have used an account that has local administrator privileges. We want to quickly check that the other prerequisites are satisfied. In order to do that, it's as simple as right-clicking my computer and selecting Properties. We can scroll down and verify the operating system version, system memory, and processor architecture. On your system, you might get something similar to this. Having verified the minimum requirements, we are ready to enable the Hyper-V service. To do that, just click on Search or press the Windows key and start typing Features until you see the 10 Windows Features on and off menu option, then select it. Once the applet is loaded, scroll down and left-click the checkbox next to the Hyper-V option. You can click the plus sign just to see the subcomponents that will be installed. We are installing all items, so go on ahead and click OK. You need to do a reboot. Don't be tempted to skip the reboot as you may run into unexpected problems. Make sure to close any applications that are running and proceed with the reboot. I am going to pause this video recording, finish the reboot, and see you on the other side. Welcome back. I have rebooted my machine and we're back in Windows. I have logged in as an administrator again. We are now going to verify that the Hyper-V feature has been installed successfully. All we have to do is click Search and type Hyper, then click on HyperV Manager. This is the management console that we'll be using to create and manage our VMs. We'll leave that for the next video, but for today, we'll have a quick look around. The interface is fairly simple and is split into 3 panes, and you can close or open the left and right ones using these toggle buttons. To the left, you have this top node that just represents the top of a hierarchy, under which is the local machine on which I'm running the Hyper-V Manager from. This arrangement makes sense when you realize you can right-click on the top node, select Connect to Server, and enter the details or browse for another computer on the network that might also be running Hyper-V services. This allows you to manage several instances of Hyper-V services from a single location. In my case, I do not have another machine running Hyper-V services, so I'll just cancel out. When I click the local computer or Hyper-V server, you'll notice that the center pane changes. For now, it is empty because I do not have any VMs. But when we start creating them, they'll be listed here, along with the statistics like name, running status, memory, and so on. You can also see down here at the bottom that we have 0 VMs. Over to the right is a list of the actions you can perform, and this is where all the action will happen, pun intended. The most important action I want to highlight to you for now is label new, where you have the option to create a new VM, a virtual hard disk, and, fun enough, a floppy drive, though we do not use those much these days. I will take you through how to use this option in great detail in my next video. Once we have at least one VM, you will also see additional actions down here for starting and stopping your VMs, as well as performing other operations that we will discuss in the future. That is as much as I want to show you today, but before I finish off, let me just give you a troubleshooting tip. In the unlikely event that you run into errors or the HyperV Manager does not load, the first thing you should check is that the HyperV services are running. To do that, click Search and start typing services, then select the correct menu option when it appears. In the services list, scroll down and confirm that the HyperV Virtual Machine Management service is running. If the service is not running, try to start it, and if it does not start, it should hopefully give you a meaningful error which you can Google. One other thing, the service is set to start automatically each time you restart your machine. If you do not want it to start automatically, just change the startup behavior by double-clicking the service, selecting Manual Start, and clicking OK. Remember to start it up when you do want to use your VMs. In my case, I'll leave it unchanged by clicking Cancel and closing everything as we are finished. So there you have it, and I do hope you managed to configure your computer for Hyper-V without any errors. If you have successfully configured Hyper-V on your Windows 10 computer, you are good to go for the next video, in which we will cover the creation of your very first VM. In the next video, I'll cover the basics of setting up the environment that we've just configured today, as well as creating your very first VM on Hyper-V. I look forward to you joining me on that. If you have learned something new today, would you please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell and the thumbs up button, and also share this with your friends. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.